Lori here. I'm back. I'm here to do another reading vlog. I just finished another reading vlog. I have been battling a small sinus infection and it has made me deal with a couple of issues, so I have not been reading as much as I wanted this week. It was also a little bit of a chaotic week with grading and grades being due and all that other stuff, so it's just a bit busy. But I hope next week will be a little bit less busy, so we'll see. But I do have two books on the horizon. I really want to start The Poison Healer by Lynette and Nomi. Let me just admire this book. I actually got this book from a friend of mine, Jen. Owl Crate does beautiful editions. I actually just signed up for Owl Crate's adult edition. But let's just admire this stunning book. Stunning. And because I never read a book with a dust jacket, these sometimes are like a little bit of a waste to me. But this is stunning. Oh my goodness, it is stunning. It also has, I've also never read a book that's been dedicated to an author before. This one is dedicated to Sarah J. Maas. Here is a beautiful map, and we have another map, so that's really exciting. So, and also the end paper. So this is a really, really cool book. My friend gave this to me. I think she had already read it. So I'm going to read this one, start this, and then at some point this weekend, I would also love to make some progress on Holopox. I already started, but I think I'm going to restart it, because it is middle grade May, and March, and I've literally read one middle grade book, but this one is the one that I would like to read at some point. So I'm going to start this. I also am going to try to, listen to Brandon Sanderson's talk as I'm sort of reading this. I also have to go to a Google Meet later for my podcast that I follow. So it's just been a bit of not a whole lot has happened this week other than me just working and grading and stuff like that. But I do hope to start The Poison Healer. I've had this book on a TBR for so long. I actually have the sequel too. So if I start this, which I will probably also wind up reading the sequel at some point. But I'm going to go start this, finish watching my Brandon Sanderson video. Now that I kickstarted him, I am now invested. And hopefully I will get around to reading his actual book soon. But yeah, I'm going to start The Poison Healer, and I'll give you guys an update when I can. Bye, friends. Lori here. I'm back. I did wind up cleaning my room a little bit. Now that I'm feeling a little bit better, I have sort of lost my voice, which tends to happen when I talk a lot. And that is just the nature of this season of school we're in. Some units I don't talk a lot. Some units I do talk a lot, especially in front of a group of people. This is just one of those units that I talk a lot. But I did want to say that I do want to restarting Way of Kings Part 1 by Brandon Sanderson. So my goal is to finish this book soon. So I have read about 22 chapters. I read the prologue and the preface. So I read that. I'm intrigued. I actually still have my bookmark in here. So I read the first 294 pages of this book, and I just felt like I was lost, so I'm going to restart it. I did kickstart him, so I really do want to read his backlist, but this is where I said was a good place to start, so I'm going to start here. Also, I did wind up reading about 32 pages in The Poison Healer by Lynette and Nomi, and I'm really enjoying this book right off the bat, really liking it. I read about 32 pages because I read this in the morning commute, and I'm enjoying it so far, but you basically follow this character named Kiva, and works in a prison camp, and she's sort of, I don't know if she's a prisoner. I feel like she's inscripted. That really hasn't been explained yet, but she was taken from her family, and she kind of works as a prison healer. This cover is so pretty though. But she works as a prison healer, and in this camp, and she encountered this young man that's a prisoner, and she's working on him. I've only read about 32 pages, but I'm really excited for it. I also have made quite a bit of progress on my audiobook for Sea of Monsters with the Prophecy Radio podcast, so I'm really enjoying that. But yeah, my goal is I'm going to film a video. I keep dropping everything. I'm going to film a video, which was my wrap up for January and February, all my entertainment stuff that I did. So I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to go film that. And I think next weekend, I'll probably film start thinking about my spring stuff that I want to do. I have to redo my bookshelf and stuff like that, and I'll have to do some spring cleaning as well, so that will probably be next week. But we're also gonna have a really, really crappy weather week. I was supposed to go to the city, but I canceled that. I was supposed to go to yoga tomorrow in person. I think I'm gonna cancel that. It's just gonna be a really, really crappy weather week. March is the worst month weather-wise for me. And we had like snow on Wednesday. It was just a weird week. I wasn't feeling my best. I am feeling a lot better though. So I'm going to go film that video. I might prep film like one more video. I might actually do a book haul because I still have quite a few books that I should. So maybe I'll do a book haul. We'll see. But I'm going to go do that video. Maybe film my book haul. So at least I have it filmed. And then I'll talk to you guys later. Bye, friends. We're here. I'm back. I did wind up mostly doing everything I had to do. I still need to do my Instagram photos tomorrow. But I am ready to read. And it's so nice to be able to read so early. The past couple of Fridays we've been like running errands and I just have like been doing a bunch of stuff after work. But I'm home. And I think I'm going to pick up The Prison Healer. I read to like 32 pages on the train ride. Sorry my voice sounds so low. I have talked a lot this week and I also like went without wearing a mask for a lot of my classes, and I think I'm not going to do that next week just until we get to April and May, just because I'm still a little bit cautious and I think I taught myself a good lesson. I've also been screaming a lot in the last 2 days. A lot of my classes just, you know, sometimes you have to scream to be heard, and I had to scream to be heard a lot. But that's okay. So I'm gonna go read a little bit of this. I really did like it. I thought there's a trope in here that I absolutely love, and it is a young child in the book that's sort of acting as a helper. That is like a really, really weird trope, but I love it. I really, really do like it. So I'm gonna give about 50 more pages because I feel like I just have the basics of the story, and I feel like there's a lot that I'm missing. So I'm gonna go read like up to 50 pages, and then I'll come back and give you guys like a little bit of an update. But so far I'm really liking it, and this cover is just really, really pretty. So I'm gonna go get some water. Hopefully that will help my voice a bit. It doesn't sound like it does now, but I will be back. Bye, friends. Here is the next morning. I did wind up reading a little bit more of The Prison Healer. I'm now on page 100, chapter 11, because I had to restart my computer like 4 times and I had to do some updates. So I am reading this. I'm really liking this book quite a bit. It's just really interesting. It's been a bit since I've wanted to read a book that's just like really, really fast-paced, really, really my type of story. So you follow this girl named Ziva, and she's a prison healer. So she's also like a prisoner in this camp, and we haven't really got a lot of information like why she's in this camp, but her family keeps sending her letters to stay safe, stay alive, we're coming to get you. And then quickly when the rebel queen, who is like part of a different bloodline, is brought to this camp in really, really weakened state, she is believed to have elemental magic. Her life gets a bit more complicated. There's also a young man that was born as a prisoner. She has this young little boy that she's taking care of. It's just a lot of elements that I love. And now her parents have sent her another letter telling her she has to keep this rebel queen safe. We're coming. And there's other more like situations that are about keeping this rebel queen alive. And I'm really, really liking it. I'm enjoying it quite a bit. Like, I really just want to keep reading because it's just really, really fascinating. This is also an Australian author. I'm really liking it. I really like Ziva as a main character. I like characters that have unique jobs, and she's like a healer in this prison. I'm wondering if we're going to get more background about why she's in the prison camp, because that's a little bit unclear to me, but I'm really enjoying it. So I'm going to read about 50 more pages, and then I'll give you guys another update, but really, really fast-paced. A story that I'm really, really enjoying so far. This cover is also really, really pretty. This dust jacket's pretty as well. So I'm going to go back to reading. Right now, she just made a really bad decision, but I'm curious to see how it's all going to play out, and I'll report back. Bye, friends. This book has so many elements that I'm really, really fond of. I think also, like, all the characters' perspectives and motivations are really unknown, and they're making really interesting choices. And because we're only in Kiva's head, I think it's making the book even more interesting for me because we're not in these characters' heads. We don't know a lot about them. There's also a political element to it. They're set in a very, like, isolated setting. There's a lot of characters. It's just really interesting. There's also, like, some different relationships that I've never really read before. reminds me a little bit of like the first Ember and Ashes book. Like it has some elements to that. But overall, I'm really, really liking it. I think this might be like a 5-star read for me because I'm loving it. I love this design cover from Barry Lou, by the way, as well. But I really like Ziva as a main character. There's also... Sometimes I struggle with love interest in fantasy, especially when I feel like it's going to be a love triangle because it never goes the way that I want. But I'm like intrigued by both sides of this if it's going to go love triangle-y, but really, really liking it. I also really like Ziv's relationship with the little boy in her life. It's just really, really, it's just, there's a lot of elements of found family. We also did find out why she was put in the prison camp, which was a question I had. But I'm really, really liking it. I think I'm going to get a little bit of a snack. It's still a crappy weather day, but I'm going to get a little bit of a snack, and I'll update you guys when I read to page 200. Bye, friends. So, I am really enjoying my book. I got up to page like 182, but I also got super distracted. So, I just decided that I'm going to go to ALA for a weekend right before. So, the way this school year works, and this is why I never go to the summer ALA because it doesn't ever work out with my schedule. But this year, I have like 2 extra days. Like after school, we have like 1 final day of work and then we have like a PD day. And I don't know. I've really been craving something fun to do. And I don't know. So I booked it. It's going to be a little bit of a last minute trip. This one's going to be crazy and chaotic, but at least I have a reader to look forward to after it. And I'm just sort of in the mood to do something fun. So I don't know. But I'm really excited. I'm gonna see one of my friends is definitely going. Another of my friends is definitely going. And I got a really cheap hotel. I'm gonna fly, which will be a lot easier than subway and stuff like that. So that will be easy. I'm probably gonna ship a bunch of my books back, which will also be easier. So I'm not that stressed about it. But yeah, I'm gonna go keep reading, and that was just an update. I'm gonna go to ALA for a week, and I'm really excited. I did one up for like planning the whole thing, which is really exciting, so that should be really, really fun. Something to look forward to, especially at the end of the year. And normally in June I go to BEA, but it's got canceled and we don't know if that convention's ever going to come back, so it'll be a nice little trip to look forward to. I also did get it to page 200 in The Prison Healer, and I'm really, really liking this book, like quite a bit. It has so many elements that I love. It has elemental magic, which is one of my favorite magic systems you can create in a book. I really am liking it. I just love the environment. I love the characters. I love that... Sorry, trying to drink more water is always a job. But I also like that it, you're really in Ziva's head, but I feel like I like all the characters, and a lot of times when you read a fantasy book, there's like you like 1 or 2 characters, but I like all the characters in this book, so that's like a nice thing. My edition is also so pretty, very loot, I believe, but I'm really, really liking this and really excited. I really am. I might read the sequel after because I do have an e-arc of it, but we'll see. We'll see how long this takes me. But I'm gonna go finish watching Legacies, which is my plan for tonight. Still such a crappy weather day. I really am not doing anything that thrilling other than watching Legacies and just catching up. So I'm gonna go do that, and then I'll check in with you guys when I get up to page 250. We'll see how long it takes me. Bye, friends. Another update. I didn't get exactly to my half-page mark, but I did wind up working out. I listened to a little bit more of Sea of Monsters. I only have 2 chapters left of that audiobook. I probably would have finished it today if I had left my house and done anything, but because the weather was so crappy, I didn't go anywhere. But I did wind up getting up to page 232 in this stunning book. I really am loving it right now. I'm really enjoying it. It has so many elements of a story that I love. I love books that take place in a self-contained environment, which is this prison camp. We also did learn a lot more about Ziva's past and why she's here. I also really love characters that have a unique job, and Ziva is a healer at this prison camp. I also love books that really have elements of found family, which this book does have. I also love books that have like a younger companion, which this book definitely does have. Female friendships are very, very strong in this book, even though it's like an unconventional friendship, but it also has elements of like a competition element that reminds me a little bit of like Avatar, but also a little bit, it also has a Hunger Game vibe to it. If you read the book, I think will make a little bit more sense. But I'm loving it. I'm really enjoying it. I think it's a very, very well developed world, and I'm really captivated. Like I literally don't want to put it down. I just want to keep reading, which is the mark of a good book, and I'm really loving it. Yeah, I'm just gonna go back to keep reading and watching Legacies as well, so that will be sort of the rest of my day. My goal is to get up to 250, and then I will definitely give you guys another update, but I am really just liking this. It's definitely a book that I really like. After this, I'm probably gonna try to read the sequel quickly because I'll be intrigued to see where this book ends. But so far, I'm really, really loving this book and the cast of characters that was created. So, I'll talk to you guys in a little bit. Bye for another quick update. I just want to say that I did wind up getting up to page 250 in my book. I do want to note there is a self-harming element to this story. So, if that is a trigger for you, I would maybe be cautious reading this. It is mentioned in the past, but they do talk about self-harm in this book. So, just be mindful of that. I am really loving this book. I think that I'm really loving it because the hero is a hero that I haven't read recently. Like I haven't read just I wouldn't call him a cinnamon roll, but I also wouldn't call him like an overbearing hero. So like I just like him as a character. This book has a lot of elements that I like quite a few elements that I'm really enjoying, and I think altogether the story is just really, really captivating. I think that this is a good starting book because I feel like as this series goes on, I think the book series is going to get more complicated, more political, and I'm really liking it. So I'm going to hopefully, my goal is to read to page 300. I don't know where that is, but like that's my goal, to read page 300 and then stop for the day. But yeah, so far really, really liking it. So it definitely has some elements of like a trial element that I've read like in so many books, and I do like that quite a bit. I also do like that there's the potentiality of like an illness that the healer is trying to heal that has been sort of loosely put throughout all the books. I mean throughout the whole story. That's really interesting. So there's a lot of elements to this story that are really captivating, and they're all really wound together really, really well. Sometimes when you have like a competition element, and then you have like a disease element, and then you have the political stuff, and then you have the other plot line about the queen, it may seem like it's a lot of elements, but I think what this author does super well is she weaves together all the plots so they're really all interconnected, and one thing is affected to one thing that's connected to one thing. So it's a very, very complicated story, but really digestible and really, really readable. So I'm going back to reading, and I'll update you guys when I can. Bye, friends. Larry here. I'm back. Sorry if I'm a little bit washed out. I am sitting at a different angle. But I did wind up last night, I did wind up reading up to chapter 274, so chapter 23 in the prison healer. There was a part of this book that made me deeply concerned, so I read a little bit more than I normally did because I had to make sure one of the characters was not in peril anymore, which was really important because I like that character quite a bit. Today I'm going to head to yoga. Hopefully it's not as cold as it was yesterday. I also have to run some errands. Do a couple of little things and get probably some lunch. So that's the plan. I'm also going to hopefully finish Sea of Monsters by Riordan today, so I can pick up a new audiobook for next week, which will probably be a little bit delayed because I definitely need to catch up on a podcast that I'm in the middle of listening to that I've neglected quite a few episodes on. But my goal for today is to finish The Prison Healer. I'm really excited for it, really enjoying it. I think I'm going to watch an episode of Legacies to get a little bit more done with this before I head to yoga. Yeah, so that is my plan. I also got a slightly concerning news alert that COVID will be on the rise in the next couple of weeks. So my 1 week of feeling free to not wear a mask, 1 week is now gone. But that's okay. So I'll probably be wearing my mask in all my classes again, at least for the next couple of weeks. So we'll see about that, but that's okay. It was a nice week. We'll see how I feel, but that's at least the update for that. But I'm going to go read while watching Legacies, and I'll talk to you guys. If I make some significant progress, probably before I go to work, before I go to yoga, but if not, I'll talk to you guys when I get back. friends. Do a quick update. I totally didn't mention that today is daylight savings, so we lost an hour, which probably explains why I felt so tired this morning. I went to bed for 20 more minutes and I didn't remember why, but that makes sense because today's daylight savings. I also did finish Sea of Monsters. I am so happy I finally finished that book. I've been struggling really with my personal reread before I started listening to Prophecy Radio, which if you're looking for a Percy Jackson reread, I would definitely check out that podcast. Karen and Kristen are awesome. But I did finish that today, and I haven't chose my next audiobook. I'll probably do that later when I start putting my clothes away. But I also did wind up getting up to page 331 in The Prison Healer. I'm really liking this book, quite a bit. It has a lot of elements that I'm really enjoying. A twist happened that I sort of saw coming, but also sort of didn't see coming. So there's a lot of characters in this story that, their real identities, I think, are not really going to shock me, but they might. So one character's identity sort of did surprise me, but really enjoying it. I'm loving the elemental magic. I love the competition element in this story. I love that it also had elements of Hunger Games. I really am liking the story quite a bit. So I'm also watching the new Tyler Henry show on Netflix, which I'm loving. I'll give you guys a more solid review at the end because it's really different from his previous show that I watched that also really enjoyed. So I'm going to go read to page 350 and then I'll give you guys another update. Bye friends. I just want to do a quick update. I wound up reaching to page 355 in The Prison Healer. I don't know how this is, so I have about 50 pages left. Really liking it so far. We're right at the climax of this story. One plot point really did shock me, and I'm sort of sad that I didn't realize it, because I definitely would like to reread this book knowing that plot twist sort of going in, because I think it was a really interesting one. I'm sure there will probably be more, but I really am liking this book. It's definitely going to be a 5-star read for me. It had a lot of elements that I really enjoyed, and I'll see how the story ends. Sometimes when you read a first book in a series, they tend to rush the ending a lot. So I'll be curious to see how action-packed the last 50 pages is. I also did finish Life and Death with Tyler Henry on Netflix. I really like that show. I think I liked it a little bit more than his show that he had on E! Because this show really dived into his life. He had his readings with, normal, everyday people, which is not what his E! Show was. His E! Show was very, very focused on celebrities, which I thought was interesting. But oh my god, the stories in this show were just really, really heartbreaking. Just some of them were just so sad. But you also got to see, his life, his day-to-day living. And also there was a really interesting through line about the history with his mom and his mom trying to find out about her past. As someone that's invested in true crime, that was also super interesting. So if you don't have given it a watch, I definitely watched it. I binge watched it all this weekend. I really, really enjoyed it. So I'm going to go finish the rest of this, and then we'll touch base and see what I'm going to read next. Bye, friends. Damn. This book was epic. So good. It's going to be a 5-star read for me. I love this. It has been so long since I've been surprised by a fantasy book, with a lot of, the political twists. I normally see them coming, a mile away. This book, I did not see the twist coming. I was pleasantly surprised by each and every twist as this story went on, and I thought that she did a really, really great job with it. So many fun characters. I really need to read the next book in this series. 5-star read for me. I'm really excited. Loved it. I had some emotional moments when I was reading it. I was really invested in these characters right off the bat. I loved it. So I don't know what I'm going to read next. I have to go get ready to have some dinner. But my goal was to finish this before I got ready for work tomorrow and have to pick a book and stuff. But really, 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 really good. Definitely my favorite read of the month by far. Delightful. So I will talk to you guys in a little bit for another clip when we talk about what we're going to read next week. Bye, friends. Sorry for my such hoarse voice. It's just been I talked about this in earlier in this reading vlog, or maybe my past reading vlogs. I sound very, very congested, and I do have a lot of allergies. I'm also battling a sinus infection, but my laryngitis is just because I talk too much, honestly. And the past week, I've been teaching again. I always teach, but some units just have me talking a lot more. this unit is one of those where I'm just talking a ridiculous amount, and then it like makes me hoarse by the end of the week, and then like I just don't have enough time to recover. Honestly, I've also like did not wear my mask last week. It was just a rougher week, so I'm going to try to keep my mask on this week and see if that helps my congestion, because it just makes everything worse. We're heading into allergy season. But I do want to say that I really, really loved The Prison Healer, like a lot. I loved it. It's a 5-star read for me. I definitely want to get around to that sequel like quickly, but I think I'm going to read Hollowpox. It is on my TBR game, and that game that Fablin has been doing, I have been failing at. So I think I'm going to start this. I read about the first like 3 chapters and I was intrigued. It is technically middle grade March, but I always read my middle grade books in May because they have a challenge on TBR and Beyond Reading Group that I always do. So this is just me getting a couple done, but that's normally when I do that challenge, is back in May. So also, I am going to try to read a little bit of Way of King every single day on my commute to In the City by Brandon Sanderson. And I also am going to start Titan's Curse this week with the Prophecy Radio podcast. And I'm going to pick up a new Lorraine Heath book and probably a nonfiction book at some point because I haven't read my nonfiction book for the month yet. And I don't know what I'm going to read after this. I have like 2 options. We'll see how long this takes me. It may take me all week. We'll see. But I'm going to go start this and we'll touch base in a little bit. Bye, friends. Good reading day. I finished The Prison Healer, I finished Sea of Monsters, and I read about 30 pages in Hollowpox, The Hunt for Morgan Crow. I'm definitely enjoying this book now that I'm like rereading it, because I struggled a little bit with Wondersmith when I first read it. I actually just bought it for my students, so I do actually have a copy. But I'm liking this book. I said this when I read Keeper, like recently I read Keeper. I actually really want to do a re-listen of Keeper. I actually just got all the audiobooks in the last couple of weeks, so I really want to do that eventually. Maybe over the summer, or maybe I'm going to download them when I go to like Aruba and my trips, and maybe just stick them in my ears as I'm commuting. But I really am liking this book right after that. There's always a moment in a book where like the world sort of like breaks open. In Percy Jackson, it was when we got that second series. I felt like the world really broke open. There was a moment in Keeper where the world sort of like exploded. I think like Everseen was that book. It sort of like we saw a lot more of the world. In Harry Potter, I would say it was probably book 4. There's always a book sort of where like the world sort of explodes and you kind of get a lot of context. This might be that book. So so far I'm really enjoying it. I only read about 32 pages. My plan for tomorrow is to read a little bit of Way of King, but focus the majority on this, and just read a lot more this week. I'm feeling a lot better. I had a little bit of a rough couple of weeks. I was dealing with a sinus infection, and I just kind of threw everything off, but I am feeling better. I'm going to figure out what I want to watch. I haven't chose that yet, but I'll probably find something like lighthearted to just sort of watch. I'm going to go scroll through Netflix and see what I haven't seen, so that's the plan. I will update you guys when I come home from work tomorrow and see how much progress I've made. But I'm going to go relax. Daylight saving time always takes a little bit out of me. I have about 4 audiobooks to potentially listen to tomorrow as well. So I'm probably going to make a little bit of progress on that. I have to do a lot of grading tomorrow. But yeah, so I will talk to you guys tomorrow. Bye, friends. I'm back. It is Monday. It is the 14th. Today was a pie day at our school. I mean, in the world it was pie day. But we had like a pie eating contest that we got to live stream through Zoom for the kids. They loved it. It was really, really fun. I'm happy they had a great time. It was fun watching my coworkers eat pie. So I did wind up getting a little bit of reading done. I got up to page 86 in Hollowpox, The Hunt for Morgan Crow. Right off the bat, I'm really liking this book more than I liked the second book in the series. I don't know, I'm just connecting with this book a little bit more than I did the other one. This book also set around Christmas, so I think if you haven't read it yet, maybe save it for Christmas. And I think book 4 is coming out closer to the end of the year, but I'm really enjoying it. I read about 86 pages. I also listened to a half of a chapter of The Titan's Curse and a little bit of 2 different audiobooks. I had was indecisive what I wanted to listen to. Monday's my one day where I actually socialize and go see people. So that was nice. I got to like see my coworkers and we had lunch together, which was really, really nice. But then like I don't get a lot of listening time because it's a little bit disjointed. But yeah, so my plan is to read a little bit more of this. I have like a 20-minute clip video I'm going to watch, and this will be background noise. And then I am going to read a little bit of The Way of Kings. I got up to page 25, which is really, really not that far into it at all. I'll be very honest. But I do want to make my way through his backlist, so I'm going to take my time next time. And these are 2 books I both DNF'd at different points, so I think I'm just going to take my time with them and see how long it takes me. But this is my book I'm going to read now. When I'm done with that video and at a solid ending place, I'll give you guys my full thoughts. But so far, I'm really enjoying it. Bye, friends. I just want to do a quick update. I did one up. Let me see. I actually just wound up reading a chapter of Way of Kings, but I am enjoying this a little bit more on my reread. Well, not my reread, but my read experience. I am enjoying it. We finally did get to meet Kaladin, who I think is one of like the main characters in this story. We had 2 chapters that I think were sort of like prequels, or like prequels, but I am liking this a lot. So I'm gonna, my goal is to read 2 chapters tomorrow. Right now I'm on page 38. And I would like to get up to 66, which I think is doable tomorrow to finish 2 chapters. But a little bit of an update on Hollowpox, The Hunt for Morgan Crow. I did get to page 106. This book, it does include like a mystery illness element. They're going back to school. It is just Christmas. And she's also been introduced to a new professor. This story structure reminds me a lot of Keeper, especially in the early books, where there was very, very focused on school, and I really have liked that element to it. But yeah, so my goal for tomorrow for this would to read about 100 pages. I don't know if it's doable, but that's my plan. I have a much longer commute on the way back, so if I could finish 2 chapters of this and like 50 to 100 pages of this, I would call that a success. So that is my plan. I am going to go figure out something to watch on TV. I don't know what it is. Just something relaxing. And I will update you guys tomorrow. Bye, friends. Right here, I'm back. I went to work today. I taught. I actually had a really good day. I did the breakdown for the Golden Goose script, and I'm loving how I'm teaching this unit now. Like, I've really sometimes struggled this year with making stuff interesting and teaching like down a level, but I really like how I'm teaching this unit. I think it's really, really interesting. So I'm going to continue it in both my classes. I also had my first drama session like in my theater, which I haven't done since 2020. So that was actually really, really fun. That was for my after school drama club. It was just nice to just play like Mirror Detective again, which I just like. I just like the game a lot. So it was fun to like do that. I also actually had a pretty good reading day. I listened to 2 chapters, I think, in Titan's Curse. Today is like my busy day because I don't have 2 periods in a row. Sort of like Monday and Tuesday are just like busy. But tomorrow I'm hoping to make some progress on my Laureen Heath audiobook now that like I restarted it for the 3rd time accidentally, but I wasn't that far into it. But I also did read like 2.5 chapters of Way of Kings. Really liking that. I remember the first time I read it, I felt a little bit like discombobulated when I was reading it, and I really like wasn't interested. But now I'm like intrigued. Maybe it's because I'm not like pressuring myself to finish it in like a certain amount of time. If it takes me like a month to read it, I'm really okay with that. So maybe it's that. I really don't know, but I'm enjoying it. I also read up to page 124 in The Hunt for Morgan Crow. This book is getting a little bit interesting. I'm really liking it. I think I like it more than book 2 in the series. But there will be a mystery that's going to develop. Her magical education plot is getting really interesting. Sort of reminds me of the Keeper series. There was a plot line about her magical education, and I love that series, like one of my favorites. So, yeah, I also caught up. One more episode of Sweet Magnolias to watch tonight. That will probably be my show I'm gonna watch first, just because it's the season finale, and I really like the season quite a bit. So I know that the first season ended with some drama, and I don't know if they're going to do the same. Hopefully not the exact same, because that was a lot of emotion to wait for. I really actually want to go back and rewatch season 1, because I feel like I would enjoy season 2 better just with like a little more context, but because it's been so long. But I'm gonna go read. I don't know what I'm gonna put on. I have a true crime video that I'm gonna watch, and then I'm gonna read some in the background. And when I'm back, I'll report back. My goal is to at least get to page 150 today. That's my goal. We'll see. Would like to read more, but I take it easy for myself on Tuesdays and Wednesdays because I just run out of time because I have drama club. So yeah, I'm gonna go read and relax. It just worked out too, so I'm a little bit out of air, but I do feel like 1,000 times better, which is so good. So I'm glad that my medicine that I'm taking, which is just over the counter stuff, is helping. So I'm gonna go read, and I'll talk to you guys in a little bit. Bye, friends. Slurry her, I'm back. I actually read more of The Way of Kings than I thought I was, because I read like in the afternoon, and I read on the subway. So I actually read a bit of this, and I read this when I was home. So guys, page 150. I'm really liking this book more than I liked it the first time that I read it, and I'm still pretty much not to the part where I stopped reading. But this book follows 2 main characters as of right now. I think we're going to get a couple more as the series goes on. But you follow Kaladin, who is sort of a prisoner, and he is sort of involved in the war aspect of it, which is really interesting. This is part of the Stormlight Archive series, and I really am liking it right off the bat. Like, it's definitely a richer world, and I'm also listening to Brandon Sanderson's other works. Like, I'm listening to his, I kickstarted him, so I listened to his other book today, his, like, second book in the bundle that we're getting, and I'm really intrigued by that, like, right off the bat. And then the other character you follow is Shallon, who is trying to be a ward of the king's sister. Really liking that as well. So I got to page 150. My goal for tomorrow is to get up to the prelude, which is part 2. So I have to read like basically 50 pages. And I think that's definitely doable for tomorrow. I also did read a little bit more of Hollowpox, which again, I'm on my way to. It's just going to take me a little bit of time for that one. Because I'm probably going to focus on that book on the weekend, unless I love this book, and I might, we'll see. But this one is definitely capturing my attention, which is shocking because that's not how it was last time. This one was like a struggle last time and everything else I was reading, but I don't know, I'm really intrigued by it. Maybe it's because I kickstarted him and just really have wanted to read his work for a while. So my goal for tomorrow is to read at least 50 pages of this, like at least. And I will be home from work early, so I can maybe get it done in the evening as well. That is my plan. But yeah, today was a good day of work. I said this before in my previous clip. I really am liking this lesson that I'm doing with all of my classes. We had drama club today. Also, we're going into testing season, so like I'm trying to have my kids' units done like by next week, and I don't know if that's going to happen. So, but yeah, I'm actually gonna go listen to Brandon Sanderson's spoiler review of the book that we just read, his second secret project, which I'm really like that, like right off the bat. I'm really excited to get that one. I have to wait like a year for it, but I'm really excited for it. So I'm going to listen to the spoilers. Really liking this. So this might be a Brandon Sanderson week. We'll see. And I also really need to start Skyward as well. So we will see. But so far, really liking this. I will talk to you guys tomorrow. Bye. I'm dealing a little bit with pharyngitis, and it's just going to be the state of affairs until I get out of this unit where I'm talking a lot. I'm going to be talking a lot for the next couple of months, and I'm just going to get used to it just because I'm teaching a lot of stuff that's new, and it's a lot of me talking, which is my least. I mean, I like teaching that stuff I do. It's just a lot on my voice. So I just have to find a balance and give myself enough breaks in between. So it will be a project, but we will get there. But I wanted to update today was St. Patrick's Day. I was like really late to work, which I hate being late to work. I mean, I wasn't like late to work, but I was later than I normally am, and we were having a party, and I think that made me like a little bit jittery all day, and I definitely yelled way too much at all my students. So if they're watching this, I apologize. But it was just like a weird day. But yeah, so I did wind up reading a significant amount. Well, not a significant amount, but I read a little bit more of Way of Kings. I'm really liking that book, like quite a bit. I'm almost, I think I'm done with part one. So I'm gonna read like hopefully I have to tell you something else I have to read because I totally forgot I was on a blog tour and I have to read that like tonight. But I'm really liking that. I'm also really liking Holopox. And I got an email today about Troublemaker by John Cho, which is a book tour that I'm on, and I forgot, so I got to read that book tonight and tomorrow and like finish it because I don't want to be neglectful of my blog tours because I work with this company a lot and they're really, really awesome. So I want to keep getting approved. And only the way that happens is if you read the books in a timely fashion. So I gotta go read that. It's Troublemaker by John Cho. It takes place in 1992. I'm really excited. So I'm gonna go read that. I have a couple of much longer true crime videos to watch. I might not update any more tonight just because I really do want to rest my voice. But I'll talk to you guys in a little bit. Bye, friends. Already heard just a quick update. I did wind up reading about 50% of Troublemaker by John Cho. It's a really interesting book. It's set in 1992, I think, which is set around the Rodney King riots. And it follows this young boy. He's been having a lot of family issues, and his dad owns a liquor store, and he has had a fight with his dad. So he's sort of in an in between spot because his dad is going to like protect his store from the riots because there was a lot of looting at this point, unfortunately. And you sort of follow his adventures. He's trying to find his dad. They do talk a lot about gun violence and the Rodney King riots. It's really interesting, a very, very quick read, but one that I'm even learning a lot. I have a couple of books on my TBR in the future that are about the Rodney King riots. I have The Black Kids, which is also another one that I really did want to read. This one I'm really liking. It's middle grade, but I'm really enjoying it. It's a very, very quick read. I hope to finish the rest of this tonight and maybe wrap up this reading vlog because it is getting kind of long. And I really haven't finished anything this week because I've been really like going back and forth between reading Way of Kings and The Hunt for Morgan Crow. Really enjoying both of them, but I just haven't like finished anything because The Way of King is long. I'll say that it's a long book. So I'm gonna go try to tackle the rest of this. I have about an hour left. I should be able to read it before I stop reading for the evening. I really did want to read a little bit more of Way of Kings because I had a little part left, but we'll see. But yeah, I'm gonna go finish reading this and then I'll check with you guys and I'm gonna wrap up this reading vlog. Chloe here. I just wanted finishing Troublemaker by John Cho. I really like that book. That book was a really interesting look at the LA riots from the Korean American perspective. I learned a lot about that experience. I was not watching TV when in 1992. I think I was about 3. So again, it's just a part of history that I am not that familiar with. And I really liked reading about a story from the Korean American perspective because I did not know that there was a situation involving a Korean American that was loosely connected to the LA riots. Very, very interesting. So in this reading vlog, I finished reading Poit the Prison Healer by Lynette Nomi, which I loved, 5 stars. I also picked up the Trials of Morgan Crow, or The Hunt for Morgan Crow, which I read about 150 pages of, and then I read about 200 pages in Way of Kings Part 1. So I'm going to go start my next reading vlog tomorrow. So you guys will see like a weekend reading vlog. I don't know what I'm going to read, but it probably won't be those 2 books. But I did finish a new arc, which is actually really exciting. So this one was really good. 4 stars for sure. Really, really enjoyable. It comes out this week, so make sure you guys check it out. It is written by John Cho, but I thought it was just a really, really great read. Definitely read his author's note as well. And I will talk to you for my next reading vlog. Bye, friends.